Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den. I'm Dad. This is my den, and I'd like everybody to know that I'm fairly stupid because I actually just about got 2/3 of the way through this video before I noticed that I wasn't actually recording anything. So we'll call that the dress rehearsal. And now I'm going to actually make this video in such a way that it can be transmitted to the world at large. So what are we going to do today? Today I'm going to show off a toy that I got a few months ago. And I'm going to keep it a little bit of a mystery for a moment. That is just, I got it on auction. It wasn't particularly expensive. It's not in super good shape, but it was one of those things that I had to buy it because I had to be able to hold it and look at it and check it out because it was just kind of crazy to me. The toy has a relationship to Asian martial arts, or at least Asian martial arts through the lens of American pop culture. And so I wanted to talk about the wonderful history of America's obsession with Asian martial arts that, I think began probably because of World War II. The United States was obviously fighting Imperial Japan, and American servicemen start getting training in judo and maybe other martial arts as well, in anticipation of them going into hand-to-hand combat with Japanese soldiers. And I think maybe that sort of brought it in to those soldiers brought it home with them. Obviously, well, for some of them, it's something they did in the war. They don't really care, but a few are going to obviously go, "Hey, this stuff's pretty cool. I want to know more." And I think that sort of starts launching, the Asian martial arts craze in the United States, starting slowly but building. By the 1950s, you're starting to see, especially Japanese martial arts, coming into action adventure shows and movies. You see it with, for example, Honey West. Now, here it makes sense because, at least from a pop culture standpoint, judo is a way for the small to defeat the large in physical combat. So Honey West is played by Anne Francis. She's a private investigator, which I'll review that show at some point in the future. It's pretty awesome. But Anne Francis, obviously, is now what you would call a bruiser. And so, by Honey West knowing judo and karate and such, she's able to take on, some much bigger guys and, frankly, beat the tar out of them. And that's one of the most enjoyable aspects of Honey West. One episode in particular, she goes up against Kevin McCarthy, who you're going to probably know from Invasion of the Body Snatchers and about 500,000 other things. And I mean to tell you, it is a knockdown, drag-out fight with some really great moves. Really good stuff. We'll get to that in some other video. But you see that there. You see it in James Bond movies. Where it gets parodied in Austin Powers with, judo chop and all that kind of stuff. So it seems at first it's karate, it's judo. And in the 60s, you start seeing it, everywhere in pop culture and cartoons, just everywhere. It's a big deal. By the time you get to the 70s, you start seeing the introduction of Kung Fu. In other words, the cinematic version of Chinese martial arts. And that starts coming in. Maybe the earliest introduction of it is with Bruce Lee in The Green Hornet, where he was playing Kato. Bruce Lee, obviously a legend. That was like 1967 or 68. That might be where it really starts coming to the attention because, if you watch The Green Hornet, if you've seen the karate, the judo, right? It's a lot of chop. It's a throw. It's a kick. You start watching Bruce Lee, and wow, man! It's pretty cool. It's fluid. It has a different kind of feel to it, and I think it starts capturing the imagination. And so you got TV shows like Kung Fu. You have the Shaw Brothers movies that are coming in, and it really becomes like a national craze. Marvel Comics, DC Comics get in on it. Shang-Chi, Iron Fist. You start seeing a lot more of that kind of thing. And, you know, I think it was aided and abetted by TV. I mean, Gen X is the TV generation. We were raised by the darn things. And Saturday afternoons, Sunday afternoons, that time when the local TV stations are you know, looking to fill time, you know, that's where we tune in, and you'd see a Godzilla movie, you'd see a Kung Fu movie, stuff that, you know, you wouldn't necessarily, especially if you were a kid, that you weren't necessarily going to go out and see otherwise. And so, wow, man, it's really cool. And we're all running around kicking each other and imitating it. You know, and so the 70s seems like it was kind of like owned by Kung Fu. And then in the 80s, enter the ninja. In fact, Enter the Ninja, 1981, The Octagon, 1980. If you really want to go back, you could go back to 1967 with You Only Live Twice, James Bond, getting trained as a ninja. But that's a very early introduction of the ninja concept. But it seems in the 80s is when it really starts to take root. You get American Ninja, Michael Dudikoff, 1985. From 84 to 87, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which becomes like the toy line for a while. You get an instance of G.I. Joe, where you have a character of Snake Eyes, who, you know, if you're one of the original buyers of that stuff, Snake Eyes is a commando. But by the mid-'80s, Snake Eyes starts turning into a ninja because, hey, ninjas are where the popularity is, so we got to get in there. And, of course, Storm Shadow becomes, you know, one of his opponents, and blah, 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 blah. So ninja stuff really kind of comes in. Now, it didn't completely erase, like, the karate craze, the judo craze, because obviously kids are going to karate and judo classes, so that's a big thing. That's becoming something beyond pop culture. That's becoming part of the fabric of America. You know, and Kung Fu stuff is all still there. But so it's kind of comes in these waves building on top. I think by the time you get to the 2000s or so, martial arts of that kind, again, the pop culture version, start to become ubiquitous in action adventure movies. You know, up until that point, you still had your sort of two-fisted American heroes that are primarily just punching people in the gut and the face, you know, as any decent American, you know, wants to do. But, you know, the martial arts thing was kind of like, it was a separate thing. It was, you know, you think about D&D character classes, right? Monk was a character class. It was kind of its own little thing over here. And over here you got your, you know, your fighters and your barbarians and all these guys. By the time you get to 2000, sort of everybody's becoming, you know, a martial artist. You watch the Avengers, you know, Marvel movies. I mean, it's ubiquitous. It's not like its own thing, you know. So it took a long time, but I think eventually it's just become kind of ubiquitous and saturated the American, you know, motion picture. But into the middle of this, we are seeing, you know, toys of various kinds, embracing martial arts. Obviously, you have G.I. Joe with its Kung Fu grip. I think it was Big Jim has some cool stuff related to martial arts. You get a lot of that. Well, Aurora, a company that I think was mostly known for model making, they get into the game with a truly wonderful entrant. This toy that I'm going to show you appears in 1975, and oh, there he is. There he is. Yes. This is Aurora's Karate Man. And yes, there are multiple A's in the middle of that word. It is not Karate Man. It is Karate Man. So this is one that I picked up on auction. Got a decent price. But I mean, look at this. Look at this wonderful guy. Now, just looking at it, you can see a definite influence of the G.I. Joe characters of that time. You got for example, look at that, the flocked hair. I won't lie to you. The flocked hair is a big reason of why I bought this thing. I always thought the flocked hair looked cool on G.I. Joes. I never owned one. And now oh, yeah. He's a nice little guy. Now I have that. So this, though, is not just like obviously some action figure, because you can see that it is connected to this platform that I'm holding. And so what is the point of the platform? Well, this is a fighting game, not unlike Rock'em Sock'em Robots. You wouldn't just have this one guy. There were two of them. I don't have the other one. I would love to get it. So you would have these two characters, and you essentially would have them just start wailing on each other. Now you can see back here, we have these controls. Now you can also see this particular one is missing a piece that would have come across here that I think kids could have used to like hold on to while they were working the controls. But this one controls one arm, which you can see is supposed to be just like chopping downward. There we go. This one moves to the other arm. It's a punch. And this one does the kick. So let's see that now. Right in your face. You ready for this? Oh, hold on. Let's get them. There we go. That's much better. So we got the kick. Look at that. We got the chop. All right. And we got the punch. Boom. There we go. And you can see this piece right here. Now, I think this is what you were trying to depress. It knocks his head backwards a bit. And I don't know. That could be damage to the toy. That it's maybe the head's supposed to do something more spectacular than that. But the Karate Man, they would come with the, I believe it's called a gi, which you could think of as like the robe or the tunic with the pants. The other one I want to say is bald. I don't know if these guys have names. I couldn't find a lot of information on these toys, but I mean, how do you not fall in love with this guy? I mean, look at him. That stern face and just, the kicks. I mean, how great is that? How great is that? How you wouldn't want to play with these? And so obviously a kid would have this down here and they'd be moving it around, trying to get the, and it's, whoa, knock down, whoa, here you go, boom, kicks the dude and his head, I don't know, falls off or something like that, which, I mean, if you're fighting a karate duel, I guess knocking the other guy's head off, I mean, that's victory. So wanted to show this one off today. It's a fun little item. The Karate Man for Aurora. This one comes from 1975. I don't know that they had a real long run out there because it is kind of an odd toy. Obviously with G.I. Joes and things like that, you're able to actually, they're not connected to a platform, so you could play with them. You could do all sorts of nonsense with them. These guys, they're a little bit more focused on the one thing that they do, and that is, beat the tar out of each other. But so there we go. This is the little Dad's Den episode of the day. The Karate Man from Aurora, 1975. Awesome little toy. I'm going to hold on to this guy for a while. I'll probably sell it off someday, but I don't know. I might try to complete it, at least get the gi. And, if I can find more information on him, maybe see if there's any kind of repairs that I can do on this guy to make him a little more complete. And obviously, if I find his opponent at a good price, I'll probably at some point have both of them on display in the den. In the meantime, boys and girls, I don't want you guys out there karate chopping each other. Come on. Let's have a little love. Let's have a little kindness out there. Let's not get too violent. And I hope everybody has a blessed day and will come back, see me again. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you would gently press the like button. If you like these videos in general, or just, have fallen in love with my beautiful, beautiful face, if you could subscribe to the channel, that would be really groovy. And I will see everybody next week. Am I going to do this one? I might post this one next. So I think the one that comes after this will be my February toy haul, which has a couple things in it that I'm super stoked about. Actually, more than a couple things that I'm super stoked about. But also will come as a cautionary tale about the dangers of bidding on auctions when you're absolutely sure that you're not going to win. Okay, so I will see everybody next time in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Have fun out there.